Hello and welcome and thank you for joining into my Blade&Soul money making guide. My name is Wilkie and I've been getting repeated questions on how to make money and how do I earn money. So basically I will be covering a few ideas and methods of making money in Blade&Soul. Basically I will cover the main things I do and I believe most of the other people do as well. So I'm gonna just dive right into this. The first and probably the most obvious one should be daily quests. It's really simple. Daily quests, while on the first glimpse, they do not really give you such a huge amount of gold. If you do a few of them and if you do the right ones, you can actually earn probably around 10 to 20 gold per day for, I suppose, around 2 hours of dailying, which is okay, I think. It's not terribly much, but it is a steady source of income. Plus, you get to do the content. You may actually get some rare drops at the end. You may actually get your gear going. There's pretty much a lot of benefits apart from the money one. Plus, you also get XP, which isn't terribly bad either. But I'm not going to cover which daily quests you have to do because somebody or some people, I'm not sure if only one person did this or multiple ones. I will link this spreadsheet. This is a Google document. I will link this in the description of the video. Somebody went ahead and literally compiled all of the daily quests you can do in Moonwaterplains, which is the third map or continent. It's not really the third continent, but the third map you are going to play on. Like I said, you can scroll down. They literally listed up all of the daily quests you can do in the third map, and also listed up how much gold you will get as a free member, how much gold you will get as a premium member, if there are any items, yada yada yada. You can see that they also included the faction quests and stuff like that. So really, there's no way for me to explain this better than this list here does. And what's even better, they made a checklist so you can simply follow through and see how much. Oh, they actually listed the amount of gold you can make. So it was a bit off actually. As a free member, you can get about not exactly 14 gold, 13 gold, 68 silver, and as a premium member, 16 gold, 42 silver, which is not too bad, I think. I mean, you don't obviously have to fill out all of your 40 daily quests, but it gives you a pretty good idea of how you can make money, which quests are valuable and which are not really that much worth, because it really depends. So as you can see, the tower one, for example, gives a pretty good amount of gold. Also the new Bloody Shade or Bloodshade Harbor and Nightshade Harbor also rewards you with quite a bit of gold. So I think these are pretty much the most valuable dailies you can do, and they don't take that much, to be honest, especially the tower. Once you're used to doing the tower, it shouldn't take longer than 15 to 20 minutes. So I believe this is probably one of the best and easiest sources of money, but it may not be the most entertaining one. Now, given the fact, or let's think about, you did all the daily quests, and you may think yourself, what do I do now? I still want to make more money, but I cannot do more daily quests because there's a daily quest limit. Alright, so obviously one option to dodge it would be make another character. Some people do this, some people don't. Now, if you don't make another character, you still have plenty of other options to make money. Now, obviously, the most obvious one should be you can continue PvEing. Now, you have multiple ways to choose from now. Basically, the first one would be keep farming a dungeon that drops rare materials, which are worth a couple silver, maybe even gold. Some of these dungeons are the grade 4 ones. They always drop a Moonwater tier or 2 Moonwater tiers at the end. Another way would be, which is a lot more RNG based, but if you're lucky, you get a lot more gold out of it, would be to farm the grade 4 or especially Brightstone Cave in order to get the very desired recipe or the Moonwater secret for the Mary Potters, because that will allow you to craft an item which then would allow you to craft Moonwater transformation stones, which are still pretty valuable. And, pardon me, the recipe, I'm not exactly sure what the price is right now, but the last time I saw somebody sell it, the price was around 30 to 40 gold. So it gives you a rough idea that this item is pretty good and pretty valuable. Another RNG based factor which came to us with the latest patch would be Bloodshade Harbor, and maybe you're lucky in finding some legendary skills or Hangbun skills, which also may return in a lot of gold to you. But like I said, this is RNG based, so you may very well do 20 runs and not get a single valuable item at all, which is, it really depends on your way of farming and which way you prefer. Now, I guess one not as RNG-ish way of farming would be to farm the faction bosses, which mainly the Vermilion and the Sapphire Terror, because these, which are located around here, these drop keys, like this one, the Misty Woods keys, which is currently about 1 gold and 45 silver. Now, the bosses, if you have a proper group and about 20 to 30 people on your channel, the bosses usually take around 45 minutes to kill, maybe even less. It's really not that terribly hard. And like I said, the chest they drop contains soul stones, which is always a good amount of money, and they may contain this key, which is, like I said, if you're lucky, a good 1 gold and about 40 silver if you take away the market fee. This is, like I said, a lot less RNG, because you will always get something, you will not always get the key, so this is RNG a little bit, but it's not like the recipe, which very well may not drop at all. After 20 or 30 runs, I haven't seen it at all in all of my daily runs yet, so it really depends on your way and preference of farming. Since I don't really like heavy RNG based farming, I usually stick to this type, but since I'm also a PvP person, there luckily comes another way for me and for everybody else who's into PvP, and pretty much you need to visit this guy here, which is the Zembine Trader. This guy should be available in every major city or village, and he's also visible in the tower. Now, what we're going to look at here is, on the first page, which says common, you see these small soulstone pouches, which contain up to 25 soulstones. They cost 2000 Zenbeans and 1 small dragon certificate. You get these certificates by doing the Grade 4 dungeons, or also the tower daily. So at least from what I know, you can gather 5 of these certificates per day for as little as probably 1 hour of questing. Now, up to 25 means you can also get very well 1 out of these, which doesn't make it that appealing, does it? But if you click on 1v1 match, if you click on this, you can see that you have a gold soulstone pouch, a platinum, and even a diamond soulstone pouch. Now, they are called this way because they are unlocked by having the respective rank in the arena, which means if you're at least good enough to reach gold rank, you are able to trade your 2000 Zenbeans and 1 dragon certificate for this pouch. Now the difference is, it says contains 30 soulstones, and that's it. That means you will always get a flat amount of 30 soulstones out of this pouch. This is pretty good, considering how valuable soulstones still are. And like I said, 2000 beans, if you're an avid PvPer, this is not really that much. Like, for an avid PvPer, it's going to be harder to collect all these dragon certificates than to collect the beans. The only downside to this is, like I said, you need to be a bit more skilled to at least reach gold rank, which is, in my opinion, not terribly hard, because you'll still get quite a lot of points early on, but it may prove as a barrier to some people, and especially the people who don't really like to PvP, they're probably not going to bother reaching gold at all. So this method or option is really only for people who at least open up to PvP a little bit to at least reach the gold rank. Obviously, the platinum one grants you 40 and the diamond one even 50. So that's a pretty hefty amount of money you can make out of this. And to be honest, this is where most of my money came from, because I like to PvP a lot. So probably 150 gold of what I have pretty much came through these soulstone pouches, which a lot of people seem to not know of, and a lot of people simply don't PvP. So this should remain a pretty valuable source of money. Now, there is one last option, I guess, which would be crafting and gathering. That one is kind of risky, and especially the gathering one really can be annoying, because the resources you can gather around, which are marked on the map, like if you click on this one, you see these, I guess, piles of rock, which are called quartz. These are the locations on the map where ores may spawn, and these ores will give you the respective quartz. Since we are currently in Moonwater, we will get Moonwater quartz out of these ores. The problem is you need a pickaxe, which already costs on its own. And the other thing is that the small and the medium ore only give you 1 to 3 quartzes, and only the big ones give you 5 to 7. But unfortunately, many of the people know where the big ones are, they count them, they have a timer on them, so it's not that easy, especially if you have no clue where they are and you need to see them for the first time. So this method is kinda really, I guess, reserved to the people who know about the game and who are already sitting in there with the timer or something. But nonetheless, this would still be, I guess, a viable method. And the other method would be crafting, but that is pretty much also linked to knowledge. You should be knowing what you craft, what is needed, how much the materials cost. Can I maybe farm some of the materials? Maybe do I have some of the materials? It really is not that easy to make money off crafting, especially since there's a pretty steep market fee. So if you consider making money as a crafter or gatherer or even trader, certainly make sure you check your prices, see if you will actually make some profit out of it, so you don't end up losing money instead of gaining it. Anyways, this is pretty much all I can give you on information about money making. Like I said, what I really do is I do my daily quests, I do the daily faction quest, and I dive into the arena. That is pretty much all I'm doing. Maybe you're doing something else, maybe you're more along the PvE side. That is really up to you, but whatever may come to you, just be sure to keep doing it. The secret behind making gold is literally not to expect it to be there on the first day, but simply keep doing what you're doing, and within a few days or weeks, you should be able to amass a pretty good amount of money. Anyways, if you have any questions or anything I haven't made clear yet, feel free to ask me. I think I'm rambling way too long already, but I'll see if I can cut this down a little bit short. Like I said, if you need anything else, feel free to ask me, and hopefully I will see you guys next time.